Madam President, distinguished members of the Security Councils, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to brief the Council on the latest developments in Kosovo. I note this is my second address this year, owing to the extraordinary session held on 8th of February. Madam President, the Secretary General's report before you covers the main developments from 19th September through 15th of March. Allow me, therefore, both to update you on significant developments since and to offer you few observations of the situation in the wider perspective. I have held many consultations with political actors in Pristina and Belgrade, with religious leaders, civil society organizations, and with our main international partners on the ground. One of the key common observations is dissatisfaction with the level of progress being achieved through political dialogue and the direct effects this has upon the security situation. The level of mistrust, unfortunately, remains high and must be addressed. During recent months, tensions have simmered, with one major explanation being an inability to address long-standing issues through adequate communication and dialogue, whether this be between Pristina and Belgrade or between the Kosovo Serb communities and the Pristina Central Authority. Over several months, sustained efforts have been focused on resolving the contested issue of local government legitimacy in 4 municipalities populated mainly by ethnic Serbs in the northern part of Kosovo. In December last year, Kosovo Serbs in Leposavic, North Mitrovica, Zubin Potok, and Zvečan collected a sufficient number of signatures, well over the required 20% of the registered electorate, to begin the process of recalling the mayors elected there in April 2023 by less than 4% of total registered voters due to the Kosovo Serbs' decision not to participate. This process, long discussed in the framework of the EU-facilitated talks, has aimed toward reducing the tensions which inevitably resulted from these elections, including violent protests that centered around several municipal premises in northern Kosovo last May. Recently, representatives of the Kosovo Serb community in the north have claimed that the conditions set forth to recall the mayors do not allow for all representative participation in the recall vote. Subsequently, EU and Quint country representatives based in Pristina have urged a reconsideration of this position. While Kosovo Serbs have responded that their arguments are legitimate and being insufficiently accounted for, the recall process took place yesterday without any security incidents. However, only 253 out of 46,556 registered voters cast their votes. This, unfortunately, sets the stage for protracting and prolonging a fragile and unresolved issue. From our point of view, we will continue to support the EU-facilitated dialogue as the forum to find a consensual resolution of outstanding issues. Madam President, over the past year, there have been numerous setbacks in efforts to build more confidence in peaceful relations among Kosovo's ethnic communities through political dialogue. The Secretary General in his reports and I, in my briefings to the Council, have previously reported on a number of these setbacks, while wider international attention was drawn by the serious security incidents which occurred in the village of Bainska last September. I continue to stress the importance of accountability for that extremely serious incident through a thorough, fact-based investigation and assessment of its circumstances. This is both a judicial matter and also a political necessity in order to avert any recurrence. Across the same period, numerous developments have caused hardship and fueled mistrust between the communities, developments which could and should have been foreseen and avoided by good faith dialogue. The Kosovo Serb community representatives have shared their feelings that they are faced with human rights challenges. These, as well as the frequent use of inflammatory and derogatory rhetoric in both directions, demand close attention and scrutiny, as well as responsible remedial action by those in leadership positions. During a time when international political and financial investments continue to be made in support of good faith dialogue, unilateral action, particularly concerning matters that lie clearly within the scope of the dialogue process, cannot help to alleviate the concerns among ordinary people. The various agreements reached thus far through the dialogue process provide a clear roadmap toward the settling of many of these outstanding issues. Regardless of which side undertakes unilateral actions or the justifications provided for doing so, in the end, such actions only perpetuate an environment of insecurity and mistrust between the communities. To build upon my remarks delivered on 8th of February in this Council, I must reiterate my continued concerns, also expressed by several member states, about the manner in which the new regulation on cash transactions was communicated and implemented, and how it has affected the more vulnerable segments of the non-majority community. Under the facilitation of the European Union, the parties have met 5 times, on the 27th of February, 19th and 25th of March, 4th and 18th of April, to seek a solution that addresses the concerns raised and mitigate unintended consequences. We should remain hopeful that a solution can be reached, while urging the parties to work together to find practical solutions in the nearest future. Another element of the main agreements, which can provide solutions for this and other outstanding normalization matters, is the taking of earnest, credible steps towards establishing the association community of Serb majority municipalities. Whatever the community municipalities as final form, that form clearly will encompass the elements of sustainable financial and institutional guarantees for the Kosovo Serb community. This includes matters of local administration, along with essential basic services like education and healthcare. Repeated calls for its establishment should be heeded, as it will serve as an important step towards fostering trust between the Serb community and central authority. Madam President, the full implementation of the EU facilitated agreements has become an ever more pressing priority in order to help alleviate the continued series of crises that have emerged. It is therefore of utmost importance for both sides to remain committed to constructive, good faith engagement, and that they find practical compromises. Madam President, on matters where implementation of essential agreements has advanced, meaningful results have been accomplished during this same timeframe. These include advances on vehicle license plate validity, steps forward on the energy roadmap, and on the customs. I wish to commend the Pristina leadership for taking action to fully implement the High Court decision of 2016, affirming the property rights of the Visoki Dechani monastery, which had previously languished for many years. Such action is to be welcomed, since it significantly contributes to both inter-community trust as well as public confidence in the rule of law. Madam President, UNMIC will continue to make full use of its resources in partnership with UN Kosovo team and our implementing partners to help the communities to overcome existing mistrust and to find opportunities for reaping the benefits of genuine cooperation. We will continue to seek support to work across multiple fields that creates new space for communities to work jointly to positively influence processes that affect the future of all. This remains a pillar of our mandated work. The mission has utilized its essential programmatic activities resources to facilitate innovation and collaboration to encourage greater mutual trust between the communities, find common ground, and establish more widespread tolerance to Kosovo's diversity. Madam President, in this context, the Barabar Center continues to carry out just such efforts at the grassroots level. Since my last report to you, the number of the center's major activities has surpassed 70 over the course of less than 1 year, engaging with more than 4,000 individuals representing all communities in Kosovo. To help inspire champions of trust building in Kosovo, in November, we conducted the second United Nations Kosovo Trust Building Forum, involving participants from all communities and professions who agreed upon 27 recommendations and many more related actions in 6 thematic areas: economic empowerment, environmental protection, language rights, media and misinformation, participation and inclusion, and strengthening the rule of law. More innovative initiatives lie ahead in collaboration and with mutual support with our many international and local partners. Madam President, the promotion and protection of human rights is a fundamental part of UNMIC's mandated work. Together with our partners, we continue to encourage the authorities to place human rights and rule of law principles at the heart of sound policy judgments. This applies to a wide range of human rights and freedom, including rights to equality and non-discrimination, language, minority, and property rights, as well as freedoms of movement, expression, religion, and assembly. The enjoyment of these rights and freedoms is indispensable in sustaining Kosovo's multi-ethnic society. Madam President, on matters of transitional justice and the right to truth, I welcome the resumption of meetings of the Working Group on Missing Persons, with the first meeting in 3 years, having been successfully held on the 31st of January 2024. This direct engagement must continue. During this period, UNMIC continued to extend its support to the Legal Aid Center and the Kosovo Law Institute, assisting hundreds of vulnerable individuals, conducted specialized training for young Kosovo Serb lawyers to enhance their work in pursuit of the rule of law, and sponsored law students at a legal clinic promoting multi-ethnic media work. Madam President, while progress has been made in the legal and policy frameworks to address gender-based violence, the need for enhanced cooperation remains between government, civil society, and international organizations. The mission will continue to employ proactive measures, strengthen support services, train professionals, raise awareness, and empower women and girls towards full implementation and comprehensive implementation of women, peace, and security agenda. The mission also continued to prioritize the youth, peace, and security agenda. In this regard, the 6th UN Youth Assembly in Kosovo this May will again serve as a platform to gather young activists and leaders from across community in Kosovo and from around the region. The Assembly will support cross-community dialogue and entrepreneurship to help meet the challenges and opportunities of an AI-powered world. Madam President, allow me to add a further point of critical emphasis, namely that to achieve progress in Kosovo and fulfill our mandated goals effectively, the issues we and our partners tackle must be understood and treated as part of the wider regional context. We are aware that our work is part of a combined international effort to promote prosperity, stability, and peace in Kosovo and beyond. Madam President, I wish to express my appreciation for the daily cooperation and support we receive from our major multilateral partners, in particular KFOR, and the strength of our coordination with UN Kosovo team. Together, and with your continuing support, we will navigate this challenging period by maintaining foremost our focus on the rights and well-being of people. We will continue to call upon all leaders, political and civic, to meet their obligation in the same respect. Similarly, we will continue to give our full support to prioritize dialogue over unilateral actions or zero-sum divisive rhetoric. Acknowledging the trends of setbacks in overall trust, we will remain as determined partners to all who share the foresight for a better future. Good faith dialogue, communication, and mutual understanding mark the path forward. Progress is born from actions undertaken with the willingness to forge compromises. That's the progress. Madam President, I conclude by extending my deep appreciation to you and to all of you, distinguished members of the Council, for your continued support. Such support is indispensable to UNMIC's continued endeavors to strengthen the conditions for a peaceful and normal life for all people in Kosovo, linked inextricably to peace in the region and beyond. And I thank you, Madam President.